אני יכול להתחיל? Okay. Shalom and welcome everybody. We are starting today an experiment that I hope will be very attractive and will have a lot of influence on the people that will listen and look in those special lectures. The idea is the following. We are adopting the concept of TED. 18 minutes exactly. You know, for rabbis to speak only 18 minutes is a very difficult thing, but I'll try to do my best, and I have a promise here that the camera will be shut off exactly after 18 minutes. And to speak about an issue or to have a series of lectures, short lectures, 18 minutes, the Gematria of Chai, that will deal with the most important things in Judaism, and will distribute it all over the world. I'm apologizing in advance that my English is not the best English that there is. My parents made Aliyah in 1948, and when they wanted us to speak English at home, but when they started to hear all kind of complicated sentence like I brushed in my teeth or all kinds of, you know, combining Hebrew and English, they prefer that we'll speak influent Hebrew than crooked English. So we know influent Hebrew and crooked English, and I'm trying to promote it, but if I'll need words in Hebrew, in Yiddish, in Aramaic, I'll use them. Hopefully everybody will understand what exactly I want. So what is the first thing and the most important thing I think we should start with? I think that the right thing to do is to read the identification card of our first parent, Avraham Avinu. And the identification card is that Avraham Avinu will educate his children, his descendants, to be Shomrei Tzedakah u'Mishpat. And if I'll try to translate it into modern ideas, the idea is ethics. To be Jewish is to follow Avraham Avinu, full of charity, full of justice, full of ethical behavior, and to ask the most important questions about ethics. And that is there Jewish ethics? Is there something special that we want to follow, that we want to share with the world, that we want to promote? What actually is ethics all about, and what actually Jewish ethics is all about? So therefore, our first lecture will deal with ethics in general. And I'll try to explain when we say ethics, what do we mean? And then the second lecture will ask, is there a Jewish special ethics? Our answer will be, surprisingly, yes, but it will be more complicated than saying yes or no, and we'll try to build a whole world of ethics in 18 minutes. But let's start with the beginning. With the beginning. When we say ethics, or what is ethics? Ethics is part of philosophy, a unique part of philosophy that is asking the question not only if we are able to do things, but if it's the right thing to do, if we are to do that, or if we are permitted to do that. There are many things that we can do. When a terrorist hides surrounded by 50 innocent babies, we can target him and kill him and the babies too. The question is it the right thing to do? Is this a ethical behavior? We can advertise the name of someone that that he is suspect, that the police is questioning him, that there is a kind of an inquiry, and he's been questioned by the police. And we can distribute his name, and everybody will know that he was invited to the police station. The question is it the right thing to do? Or we should or we should wait until we should be patient, until at least the trial will start. We can do abortions. We can select the sex of the before pregnancy in the technology of PGD, pre-implementation genetic diagnosis. Is it ethical to do that? So therefore, ethics is actually adding another question, or you can call it, and many people are claiming, another obstacle, another wall, another something that you should pass before you decide to do things. And that is the idea that a human being, someone that wants to be moral, that wants to express the unique figure of the human being, should ask himself, am I doing the right thing? The problem with ethics is, one, the right thing according to who? To what? Where do you start with? How do you decide if something is right or wrong? How do you decide if it's ethical or not? Especially in our small global village, that we know that there are all kinds of cultures. That in one culture this thing is very, very ethical, and in another one it's not. In Israel, for instance, we have the study case is that in many tribes, especially in the Muslim society, to kill a daughter if she is pregnant out of marriage is something that's very ethical, and it's actually honoring the family. Now, can you say something against it? It's their culture, it's their decisions. Or the questions about circumcision. And that's a big question today in Europe. Can somebody claim that the fact that parents are making decisions to change or to harm the body of the baby without asking him, without his permission, is it the most holy thing to do, the most important thing to do, and very, very ethical? Actually, you are giving him the main present that he is deserving, and that is to be part of the Jewish nation. Or it's something that is not ethical, therefore it should be something that you don't do because you decided to be moral. So this is the first problem when we are talking about ethics in general, according to who? The second thing that is part of ethics, that is the fact that in most cases there is no clear and cut answer. Ethics, actually, something that defines ethics is the word dilemma. There are arguments to this direction, arguments to this direction, and in the middle and here and there. When I gave a lecture about this PGD technology and sex selection, I succeeded to raise up approximately 100 arguments to not both directions, to a variety of directions. Should we permit in Israel to do that or not? Personally, I am part of the committee in Israel that approves or rejects the applications of couples that are appealing to use this technology in Israel. The law in Israel is very complicated, and we'll speak about that. And I'm very familiar with this issue, so therefore I can raise approximately 100 arguments to all kinds of directions. Should we do or should we not do that? And that's only an example to the fact that the dilemma is very, very complicated and very, very polarized. And as I said before, what do you, the dilemma according to who? Third, how do you make decisions? Actually, in most cases, you have two big options, and both of them are very problematic. Let's say there is a question and there is a dilemma, and there are all kinds of arguments to all kinds of directions. The first option is to make a decision, yes or no. For instance, I'm going back to the PGD. Decide, are you permitted, everyone is permitted to select the sex of his next pregnancy before implementation, or it's something that you are not permitted to do under any circumstances. I'm talking about non-medical circumstances. For medical reasons, most of the, I think there's no real dilemma, and most of the experts say that it's completely okay to do that if there are medical reasons. But I'm talking about non-medical reasons. This is one option, yes or no. But in most cases, the decisions we make when there is a dilemma, is trying to find a bridge, something in the middle, a moderate decision that trying to include and to be influenced by all the arguments and saying something very moderate, ba'emtza, in the middle. What is the problem with this structure of decision? The problem is that it actually doesn't make sense. Because if there is a reason for yes, so the middle is far from this argument. If there's the reasons that say no, the middle is far from them. So actually you meant to make the best decision there is, because trying to say something moderate, but it's not coherent to any idea or to any ethical philosophy. Because if you wanted to be coherent, if you wanted to be straight, so you had to decide yes or no. If you are doing something like there's no actually claim that says that or the neyes, this kind of it. And many people claim that actually when you want to do something moderate, you're doing the worst thing. Not only that, but the question is where to draw the line. Let's say you are trying to do something in the middle. So I'm going back to the PGD. For instance, in Israel, one of the conditions is that a family that wants to select the sex of their future pregnancy must have at least 4 children from the same gender. For boys or for girls? Why 4? Why not 3? Why not 5? How you decided that 4 is the place that you are actually, those 2 claims, yes or no, are meeting? And there are many questions from this kind of questions, and therefore we are always debating if to cut and say yes or no, or to try to find a kind of a bridge, a moderate decision that will try to combine all the arguments and to put them in the middle. We'll see in the next lecture that the halacha has the same problem and the same. I don't want to call it a problem. I can call it the same challenge. How to decide what should be the structure of the decision. The fourth thing is how to, in the bottom line, how to formulate the decisions or the guidelines or the roadmap of ethics. Sometimes it should be formulated as a law. For instance, lo tirtzach. It's prohibited to murder, to kill someone. This is a law, lo tignov. It's a bad thing to do ethics and to put ethics in this kind of, to try to formulate as ethical ideas or principles in law, because there are circumstances that it will be the right thing to kill someone. During war, or when you see him trying to kill someone else. So how can you say lo tirtzach? Oh, don't steal. But there are circumstances that you should steal, you must steal. Let's say if something that is endangering someone else and he has a nuclear weapon and you are stealing it, so can you say lo tignov? It will be the wrong thing to say. So taking ethic principles and put them and formulate them as a law is very difficult. And most of the times it's not the right thing to do. From the other hand, talking, in general, that you should be moral and you should not murder and you should not kill people or should not steal, is problematic from the other hand, from the other side. And that is one, it's not strong enough. And the second thing is that I have many of my debates in special circumstances what to do in this. Is it the moral thing to do, or it's against the ethical rules to do in this case? Where will I get the instructions? Where will I be able to learn the guidelines? Because you said things, that is very windy, that are not stable, that are not something that is clear and cut. So therefore, there are a lot of questions about ethics, not only what is the ethical right thing to do in this case, but also how to formulate the instructions, the principles, the ideas, the laws of ethics. The halacha, as I said before, the Jewish law has the same problem, because once you want to write things is very straight, then the Ramban, one of the sages, say 700 years, 800 years ago, asked, so you can be a bastard with the Torah permission, because you are obeying everything that is written in the Jewish law, in the Torah and the halacha, but actually you are doing many, many non-ethical things, because you are abusing it, you are you're doing all kinds of things that from the formalistic point of view, it's okay, but actually it's not ethical, and everybody knows that, and you know that. So, but it wasn't formulated as an ethical law. So, what to do? These are part of the questions that we have when we deal with ethics in general. In the Jewish law, the question is there a Jewish ethical? I'm not talking about, is the Jewish ethics? I'm not talking only about principles. I'm talking, is there something that you should obey and you are committed to that is outside the halacha, that is not connected to halacha? Are there principles? Are there guidelines? Can you speak about them? Can you say something that we should obey and we are committed to them? What are they? Who is responsible? Who has the authority to formulate them? And what is actually Jewish ethics? Because it seems like ethics should be internationally, should be the same thing in the whole world. If not to steal is the right thing, and it is an ethical law, it should not differentiate and not distinguish between genders, between nationalities, between beliefs, between religion, between anything. So therefore, how can you speak about Jewish ethics if you are claiming that you are dealing with ethics that actually should be to the whole universe, even towards animals? Sometimes there are ethical principles towards the environment. And in the end, all the fields, communication, finance ethics, business ethics, bioethics, and whatever, many questions that we have. So I think that was a nice introduction with ethics, but now we'll have to ask in the next lecture is the question, is there Jewish ethics, and is there something unique that we are trying to share with the whole world, and this is part of our message to the whole world. Thank you for listening.